So we are going to start, we're going to kind of do a simple exercise on painting clouds. Hold on just a second, there we go. And I wanted to show you, some of you might remember this from last year. This is basically what we're going to be aiming for today. But it's the shapes and forms are so simple that really I want you to focus on the brushwork and the mark making and have a little flexibility in terms of how things actually go. I would like you to draw with your paintbrush today. And I'd like you to get the biggest paintbrush you can. We're going to start by just sketching out these very simple outlines. We've got our tree line, we've got our horizon line, we have the foreground. I mean, this is all grass. The foreground is a little bit, we're going to treat it a little bit differently than this area. And then of course we have our sky. So if you think about it, there are 4 planes here. When I say planes, I mean there's a shift in distance. The sky is the farthest away plane. And then if we come down a little bit, there's this tree plane, this back tree plane, and then the horizon line. And then we've got the back grasses, and then the grasses that are closest to us in the front. So each area is going to require a different thing. We'll be paying attention to transitions between them. Yeah. All right, if that makes sense. And my question to you guys is, if we're going to start with a drawing and a kind of an underpainting, what color should we start with? What color? Bob? Ani? Monica?
Alizarin crimson.
Yes, or any red, right?
Any red, yeah.
Let's start with any red. Ani really favors the cool alizarin crimson. I don't actually have any alizarin crimson, so I'm going to go another direction. Where's my cadmium? I'm going to go with cadmium red, but you can really pick anything, any red you like. You could pick burnt sienna, which kind of stands for an orange or a red. You could do a quinacridone red, which is kind of cooler. You can do an alizarin red, alizarin crimson, really cool. And I'm going to ask that you use as big a brush as possible. It's okay for it to be a little bit raggedy. You're going to notice that this raggedy edge, if you have a brush like this, is going to be, it's going to be easier for making the soft edges that we need to do to transition between each medium. And then we're simply going to do this. I'm going to start by identifying the horizon line, which notice is above the halfway point. So one of the things that you want to know when you're painting, even when we're painting a made up landscape like this, is that, notice I'm kind of making my tree line not even, is that horizon lines for your landscape painting should never land at the halfway point. They're either going to land below or they're going to land above. Halfway points are too regular and even, and they read weird. Okay. And then let's make this super dark. Need that. All right. These areas are the darkest. Notice I'm not really caring. And you want to use some water. And then let's use a little bit more water to do the lighter areas, which are here and here. It's okay if your painting gets a little dark and you lose your edges, but if you can kind of define, isn't that weird? Look at how already that looks like a landscape. It's insane. So I do hear from Diana that she is coming, but she's feeling really crappy. So we will be sympathetic today. So when you think you have it, go ahead and send it across the thread. Oh, Francesca's out of town for work. Sorry about that. Here, hold on. Let me get back up here. I'll stop checking there we are. Okay. I'll start checking my WhatsApp thread on my computer. So when you think you've got it, go ahead and send it over. For those of you who remember, and by the way, feel free to unmute yourself and ask any question. Feel free. Sometimes I might mute you just because I'm, for the recording particularly, I'm trying to get something across, but I'm not really, I want you guys to be able to talk to each other, particularly after a certain point when we get into it. And if you have one of these, remember this? I haven't used one for my hair in like 20 years, but I do have one for the studio. I'm going to put myself on mute and blow this dry a little bit. So if you've got one of those, it's helpful in terms of drying things faster. Also, it creates kind of really cool patterns if you've got watery stuff on your canvas. Check this out. Looking good so far, you guys. If you want to, it might take a little while for things to dry. We're going to start mixing. Let's see. Let me double check. These look good. Yes, very nice. Very nice. So, Anna, I just want to tell you to be careful with what my friend Don, who's a landscape painter, calls the boob effect. And that is having two trees that are exactly the same, like right up next to each other. So you have two like that, right? Just adjust one up or down.
Okay, noted.
You have a great desire to, I'm not going to say deal with boobs. That's what they look like. We have a great desire to make things even when things are not even, right? It's such a tremendous desire within us. We're going to be fighting it all day. Very nice. It all looks good. Just be aware of that. You'll drift in and out of these as we start to work. Let's see here. Where are you? Yeah. It's good to me, Natalie. I see you're using burnt sienna. Very nice. Okay, good. So we have these four distinct planes. And I think what we're gonna do is start with this back tree line because it's the darkest. Let's see, Annika. Okay, not bad. Nice. Okay, very nice. These all look great, Annika. Everybody looks great. Okay, so now that we're moving on to the second stage, we're going to be doing a little bit of color mixing. Let's get you this way. Actually, put this up here now. Thing. Now you can mix with your palette, or you can mix. Hold on. Where is my palette? It might appear somewhere. I do with you. Maybe in here. I was teaching watercolor painting yesterday, so I shoved all the other stuff out. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm gonna. If you have a palette knife, you are totally welcome to mix with a palette knife. I'm gonna suggest we add 2 colors to our palette. This is Viridian green. If you don't have that, put down the darkest green that you got. I think we're going to need a touch of yellow. And then just to make things interesting, I'm going to add a little bit of burnt sienna to my palette. So these might be a little bit hard to see. Let me bring this down a little bit. Oh, here she is. Our poor sick lady. How you doing, Diana?
Oh, so, but I'm just popping in for a little while.
Good, come visit with us. Some of you know Diana, you'll know that like it's very unusual to see her with this low in energy. So you test, Diana, did you figure out what it was?
No, I guess it's the flu. It's not COVID. I tested. It's not COVID.
It's so ridiculous.
But I haven't been this sick in years.
Well, you take it easy.
I am.
All right. Natalie, you do not. Natalie's new. I'll introduce you. Diana is the head of the LA Press Club, also Swedish, also a journalist and an artist. And she's been a great supporter of this program. It is massive. So there's 2 things I want to review with you guys very quickly. One is the concept of edges. And just here on the palette paper, I'm going to demonstrate them. That is, there are hard edges, right? Where there's kind of a full stop between one value and one color and another, also one plane and another. And then there's soft edges. Let's do this. Right, which start out like hard edges, and then we kind of blend them in to get rid of that hard line. It involves a lot of tapping. Very helpful to have a brush like this because it's great for making raggedy edges. So there's really only one area where we might have a little bit of a hard edge here. It's here at the horizon line. So everything else you're going to practice is going to be soft edges. From the tree to the sky, from the grasses in the foreground to the grasses in the background, and a touch of the grasses at the horizon line, although less so, will be more dramatic. Does anybody have questions about this? Does it make sense?
I have a small question on the colors because I was hair drying my.
What you got?
What is the green color or blue color?
I have Viridian green, but if you don't have it, just use your darkest green.
Okay, thanks, love. And then you have cadmium yellow.
I've got cadmium yellow medium. Once again, use whatever yellow you want, but that's the one I've got. And then I've got a little bit of burnt sienna here.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, yes, yes, and thank you, and ask that stuff, because it is true, you're gonna be in and out and hearing stuff, and I go very fast and have to be slowed down, so please slow me down. All right, so we're gonna start with the darkest areas of the canvas. We've got this tree line in the back, and then we've got a little bit here in the front, is a little bit darker than the back. So I know if I lay green down directly, it's not going to read that well. Rid of that. It's not going to look very natural. So what do I need to mix with my green to make a, what can I mix with my green to make a good landscape, a dark landscape green? Ideas on this? What color what general color am I going to mix with my green?
Red.
Yes, any red. All landscape greens have red in them. So I'm going to try burnt sienna.
You visit a lot of mental hospitals.
I kind of like that color. I'm also, just for the sake of it, gonna try cadmium red since I've got them both. I'll take a picture of this so you guys can see it, because I can see the Zoom isn't going to help us today with value. So I'm going to pop off here for a second just so you can see it. How do I do this? Right. Nope, I don't want to leave. I just want to turn my camera off. No, I don't want to do that. Oh, Lordy. Trying to use these things on the phone is so difficult. All right, come here, you. All right, well, I'm sorry. It's just going to look a little bit dizzy while we do this for a second. Here. There we go. So this one, the one on the right, has burnt sienna in it. And the one on the left, I'm sending this through the WhatsApp chat right now. Has cadmium red. No, yes, the one on the right has burnt sienna. No, sorry, the one on the left has burnt sienna. The one on the right has cadmium red. You can see, as I've worked on this, there we go. I can see there's a little bit too much, it's looking a little bit too red. So I might, to this mixture, so I might add a little bit more green. And once I've got a mix, I'm not using any yellow. I'm going to add in the brush. Now look what my brush is doing. Check this out. See, I want this ragged edge, particularly at the top. I may layer more color in later, and I'll keep it fairly flat and hard down here at the bottom. Notice how I'm pulling, as I run out of color, I'm pulling and mixing more with my brush. I was drifting into boob territory there, Anna. So don't feel sad. It's not definite. You're not the only one. It's easy. You'll notice it's easy to kind of go. So I was pulling this down a little bit. I'm amazed at how this kind of, and mostly I'm tapping. And notice I'm letting a little bit of the red come through. So this is key with painting. It's to like not overpaint, right? And not get over obsessed with like, how do I say it? Don't get over obsessed with like, you know, painting in one area. Kind of move around a little bit. Remember that less is more. Remember that your underpainting and your top layer are doing a lot of the work for you. You might also at this point want, I like to call the paper towel, a blankie. You might want to squeeze out some of I've been cleaning up my brush with water. Now I want more paint. I want it to be more painty and less watery. So that my paint, this first layer is very watery. That reads really nicely, but I don't want so much. So I'm squeezing out the extra water so that I can kind of focus more on just paint application and less on this wateriness, which takes a long time. So go ahead on what you got here, let me know. And then I'm also going to drift in a little bit of this color here. Notice I'm being fairly loose about it. I'm not trying to, but I'm drifting in here some darker color. I'm using more paint, less water. So it's applying a little bit more transparent. I'm going to layer other things on top of it. And I'm no longer doing that hard edge. So now is where you really need. And see how I'm kind of getting this tapping motion? You know, if you don't have a brush like this, there are a couple options for you. You could, hang on, let me see if I've got one. Okay. All right, perfect. So this is the kind of famous brush, the fan, which is used to make landscapes. I absolutely hate it. I think it's one of the worst brushes ever made. I almost never use it, except when I cut it up into little pieces and scissors and make it a little bit more ragged, then it works. This is too regular. I'll show you. See how it's so regular? It looks too, this has a little bit more raggediness. Because the things are of varying, the bristles are of varying length. And of course, this is just fabulous. Everybody would go, this is a terrible brush, but it's so fantastic for this process because it's just a mess. I mean, look at it, it's a mess. This is random, and this is what nature is. Look, I'm getting rid of all those lines because I don't even like them. There we go. You don't have to put any yellow there. Just get dark in here. Really push. The only hard layer you should have, the hard line you should have is the horizon line and the grass. If you remember last week, we painted trees. Trees have, here's a tree pruning. I don't know whether this is ours or not, right? Trees have one or two hard edges. We've got the hard edge of the trunks in places, but most of trees are transitions between light, right, are soft edges, where a light cluster meets a darker cluster, where like a cluster of leaves kind of obscures a bit of a branch, where a cluster of leaves kind of comes into the sky. All those things are soft edges, right? So grasses are similar, mostly soft edges. That's what we're going to be working on today. That's what makes this a really fun exercise. We don't even need a source because it's kind of easy. Next week, we'll actually do a landscape. So I'll find a picture and we'll work from it. But I wanted us to kind of pull out and practice these things. So when you think you've got it, send it on over. And don't worry, I'm off and on with my sweater because it is snowy as hell out here. We just got 8 inches last night. which pretty much stops Portland. Portland doesn't get snow very much. We don't really know how to handle it. Take your time with this, go back and forth. Don't stress out, get into the rhythm of finding the brush that works. If your marks are too even and flat, that means maybe you're using the wrong brush. Switch up your brush. Cut up a brush. Do something. Like, feel free to like create the brush that will give you the texture that you want. The right brush really does a lot of the work for you. I use this brush a lot. I use this brush, and then I have this other brush, which is kind of got a thin top, right, or a flat top. So between these two, I can pretty much do everything I want to do. Let's see.
Leah, love that.
Oh
red-
God, yeah. Are you using a rounded brush, Anna?
No, it's flat. It's more.
Yeah, I only have these like quite small flat ones.
All right.
So yeah,
Get yourself
I really
a
need to
1
go
inch
and
brush. You need to get yourself a bigger brush.
yeah.
Got a bigger brush, but that's good. Good to know. And notice that you see, so notice even these little ridges up here, you can't really get them. We'll work on this. I'm going to give you some stuff with it. We'll work with the sky and see if we can kind of mitigate some of this blunt. But notice, we really notice these edges. Notice where you notice brush strokes, right? Here and here.
Yeah.
Where we notice the mark making. So when I talk about mark making, soft and hard edges, really, these are the areas we have to pay attention to the most. But that's all right. This is good enough. Get this in. All right. Good to notice. Wrong brush, right? Kind of crazy. Good mixing. Anybody else wants to send over? I will take it. In the meantime, those of you who are finished with this step will want to take more, once again, with a fairly dry brush, more green, more red, and lighten it with a little bit of yellow so that we get this pretty kind of mid-tone. This is red, this is green, cadmium red, and yellow. And if you want to, you can kind of, with your brush, lay in mid-tone. I'll be happy to, I'll do a little bit of this and then I'll stop. See how I'm just kind of going vertically up and down? I'll do more later. I can do that here too. And see how I'm kind of like loading my brush with paint. There's a lot of brush, not very much water, a lot of paint. And I'm kind of dragging around the edge where the dark meets the light. I'm going to stop here. So if you want to keep going, you can. Remember, make sure that there is red in every step of your green mixing. Make sure your edges are kind of soft. If you want to, Anna, you can take a scissors to one of your flats and kind of make it, or you can like scruff it up like this. Let's see. Let's see if I have one like that. You can like kind of push it.
Yeah.
Take a scissors and cut it a little bit. So you have one that's a little bit more raggedy, right? You want it kind of wreck it. So you got little things hanging off it and you want it to be kind of scruffy. Sometimes that can help.
Okay.
So pick the brush you like the least and do that to it.
Will that be okay even if it's quite a small brush? anyway?
I mean, it's better than what you've got, right?
Mm.
You cannot achieve the mark making that you want with what you've got.
Yeah.
So it's better than nothing. Yeah, most things are achieved with a big brush. I think if there's anything I can impart to you all, is that most painting is done with a big brush. Almost everything, because we start with these big, bright shapes. The detail comes later. You want to be careful, right? We don't want to draw every blade of grass. We don't want to do every fluffy cloud in the sky. We don't want to do every leaf in the tree. We want to pay attention to areas. We want to have a more sweeping notion. You can see that as I've applied this, there's still a feeling of brush mark, even though I just kind of straight out painted it. Those things will happen naturally, and they happen kind of randomly and beautifully when you have a big brush. We have a small brush because we think that means we've got more control. But more control means a less organic painting. So one of the things that feels very like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm losing control with the big brush is exactly where you want to go. And then you'll find it gets done much quicker. The other thing I wanted to mention is that notice there is no white on this palette. So when you're lightening grasses, trees, warm sort of green things, you never want to use white. We are going to use white, but in areas where it's important to have a cool, white is kind of cool and flattening. Now it can look great against, we're going to use it to mix our sky color because we want our sky to recede, to push back, to look flatter, because that will make our vibrancy of our greens come forward more. But if you use white to lighten warm things like this, it will not, it won't work. You want to use yellow. You'll notice a cool yellow will look whiter. Warmer yellows will look warmer. Like a cool yellow, like a lemon yellow, may also have the impact of flattening a little bit because it's got more white in it. All right, let's see. Let's see. Nice, Nats. That looks great. That looks really great. Love it. Good shape. We're in good shape. So go ahead and start mixing your lighter colors. Does anybody remember this assignment from last year?
Yeah.
Canonica, do you remember?
Hi,
Yes.
Yes.
Hi.
Go ahead. What were you going to say, Ani?
I remember this one. I know that I struggled with this one quite a lot. It was frustrating.
How's
But
it feel
this year, I think I found the way.
All right. That's why we repeat these exercises, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So number one, we have people. Hi, Sandra. Hi,
Hi,
Sandra.
Leah. It looks very nice, your trees.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's nice to see you. Were you walking this morning?
Yes, and it's amazing weather. It's supposed to be almost 80 today. So I wanted to take advantage of that.
You know, it's like 27 degrees here and we have 6 inches of snow.
Wow. I mean, it's totally unusual. Usually February is the worst month. I've never seen anything like it.
I know,
But
it's ridiculous.
I figured I'd take advantage of it.
Excellent. Wonderful to see you. I'm glad you made it. But I'm also
Thank
glad
you. I'm just here.
That's more important. And Diana is here, although on her sick bed, very sickly, but visiting with us. She might be laying down. I don't see her right now. Maybe getting.
No, I don't see her either. I'm surprised she's locked on.
So can you guys see how I laid across this number one, how I left. I can see kind of a transition from from medium to dark, but I don't really see a hard edge. The other thing is that I have little bits of red peeping through. And that is really creating a beautiful vibrancy right now. So even though I've not really done very much, this is reading like a pretty beautiful landscape, which is interesting, right? Like, how can we do so little? So I'm doing a lot of this tapping. I'm loading my brush, which means I've got a lot of paint, not very much water, right? And I'm kind of tapping. Sandra, my friend Natalie Logan, Grant Logan is joining us today, and she and Lotto and I all met at the same time in Budapest back in.
Oh, wow. Where does she live now?
I will let her answer that question.
I'm in Rome, in Italy.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
in my
fantastic.
from Leah and Lado from 17 years ago. So.
Oh my God, we got into so much. There's Natalie, so you can just see
That's
her.
amazing.
Into so much trouble together. I think one of my oldest pictures on Facebook is of Natalie and I getting into trouble somewhere. We got into a lot of trouble, but good trouble. But I mean, you know, trouble.
We don't have a criminal record, so.
No, well, none that can be traced anyway.
Where are you from, Natalie?
Yeah, I'm from Scotland.
Oh, okay. Cool. Where in Scotland?
A town called Cumbernauld. It's between Glasgow and Stirling. I think Hannah now feels sorry for me and understands why I'm in Scotland. Yeah, where are you from?
I'm French, and I live in Washington now, but I spent a long time in London. And I've been to Scotland a couple of times.
Not Cumbernauld, though. I would not
No, I actually, I went there as a journalist. So the first time was in the Shetlands because there was a helicopter crash.
Oh, wow.
And the second time was the Loch Ness because they were having some kind of deep scan operation to scan the lake and see whether they could find Nessie.
Yes.
So that was pretty cool.
Somehow, you poor Scots, Nessie always comes up.
to have something.
Is everybody enjoying this? So like, you know, this might feel different. Are you having, is this kind of feeling peaceful? I'm hoping this will be a little meditative. Send over pictures of what you got. Oh, yes, I see you have here. Hold on.
It
Sandra,
looks
what are you
fantastic. I'm not doing anything yet. I'm kind of
getting ready?
resting. I need
And
to take a
breathing.
shower. But when I look at your painting through the small screen, you like in gallery view, it looks absolutely fantastic. That, you know,
Right,
far
that's-
away effect, the depth, the trees are so dark like that. They
Yeah.
look almost like rocks,
Thank you.
but it's what gives them depth.
It is, and it's weird because I just whipped it out. I didn't do very much work. Anik, that's fabulous. I want you to drag, I want you to kind of reduce the
Mhm.
dark front.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
Yep, absolutely. That's
Exactly.
great. Really great. Look at how you already, I know it's so weird. Look at how we already
Mhm.
have, as Sandra was saying, we've already got this depth and there's nothing really, you know, we haven't really done that much work. So we're letting our tools and we're letting our definition of the plane, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like do the heavy lifting. And our edges to do the heavy lifting. And that's what makes this fun. It's like, it's more relaxing than you think. I remember feeling really stressed out when I was first starting out doing landscapes. It felt like I was very overwhelmed by all the mark making. And then later I realized, well, hell, it's just like anything else, right? You're paying attention to edges. Also, this is kind of peaceful. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to take a look at one or two more, and then I'll show you how to add in the sky, and then we're going to add the flowers and the details in. And this is where. Nice, Anna. So just keep pulling that down so that your dark kind of disappears under medium. Also, I can see your edge pretty clearly here, right?
Yeah.
The hard edge. You want to take a lot of paint, scoop up quite a big amount to try and get rid of that edge. So I want to cover it up. Nice, Nats. So you do the same thing. Keep dragging that medium to light down so it partially covers the dark. That's beautiful. I love the edges. It's great. Right? So it covers the edges. So what will happen is a little bit closer, we don't want to really see a strong line, but we do want to see a transition from medium to light. So Anna, drag more, get rid of that line. We don't want to see it. We just want to see how you can see my transition here. I'm going to take a picture of this up close so you can really see what's going on here. Hold on. I'm sure this will be helpful for everyone. I want you to see that you can see the transition, but I don't see a hard edge, which means you're obscuring enough of the dark line that it kind of pushes back. There we go. Good, Onik, that's come out. Yes, very nice. Super. Yes, I think you found your way.
What I found in my among all those fine brushes that I bought simply, and this one is doing simply the job.
Can you take a picture of it and send it across to your colleagues just
Yep.
so they can see what it looks like? It's always helpful.
Sure. Just let me find a place. It's a
Yeah.
fan brush. I never thought that I'm gonna use it.
Well, you know me, I'm always about like ripping up the fan brush. So make it even more ragged.
Yep. I mean, that's what I'm doing, and I basically thought I tried it some time ago and with the grass, and it was just perfect for that.
Let's see. Thank you. Perfect. Oh yeah, see what she's done there? It's a nice raggedy fan brush without the even. Very nice.
It works perfect when it's almost dry, with paint only, even not like with water, just basically it's only paint, so that kind of dry brush effect.
By the way, look at what happened. There's a lot of water here on this back edge. So I was just touching it to see if it was dry. And look how my finger made a mark that's really disturbing in this tree line. Can you see that I really noticed? You really notice it? It all of a sudden the tree line stops. It's because the mark is the wrong kind of mark. I'm gonna go and cover it up. Aha, much better. So if I do that, well, let's see. Of course, now I can't do it again. There we go. Well, now it's not doing it as much, right? But these hard marks don't really, particularly in the middle of a field of dark, kind of lighter, they don't work very well. And while you guys are doing this, I'm going to clean up, let's see. I'm going to clean up my brush and clean my water out, because we're going to add in the background, the sky, and we'll need clean water and clean brushes. Take your time. I'm not trying to rush you. I'm just kind of trying to show you the steps, and you can play around as much as you like.
All your leaders will computer. Launch. How you can.
Oh, hi, buddy. Hi, bud. Hermes and Bazoo are losing their mind in the snow. They're having such a good time. All right, and now I am going to, and now is the time for white and also a little bit of blue. So I'm adding some white on my palette. I've got cobalt blue. I haven't yet made it to the art store. I've got cobalt blue today. You could have ultramarine, cobalt. Really, you could use any blue you like. Payne's gray, which is blue. No, I found my palette knife. It's in the sink. All right. So to mix my sky color, I'm going to take a lot of white and just a little bit of blue. Depending on how, I don't want my sky to be too dark. It's fairly light. Ugh, you tell I really don't like this thing. I really prefer to mix with my brush. All right. Now, my brush has been sitting in water to clean itself. I'm going to squeeze out the extra water so it's damp but not wet. Because here, I'm going to mix up some more. I'm going to really load my brush with paint. And then here, I'm going to brush in, and I want it to be a little bit lighter. So as I laid this down, I realized it wasn't light enough. So I'm just going in with white and blending it in. And see how I'm also and I'll show you another little trick about this later to get this level in first. See how I'm kind of roughly brushing in. And if I feel like I need more, we're going to go two-handed. If I feel like I'm losing my soft edge of my dark, I've actually got some dark in here, dark green, and I can see I can kind of push up and down into the edge. I'm working the edge first. Here we go. Let's see. I can even just kind of lay in. Notice I'm also not scrubbing too much. I'm not going 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to scrub, scrub. I'm moving around. And then I'm getting rid of any vertical lines I might have made by going the other direction. Look at how that's like already like, it's kind of crazy to me. Painting is like a magic tricks in my mind. And then I'm going to make it a little darker. So a little bit more blue towards the top. That might be too much. So there'll be a soft transition. Here, I'm going to get more white on my brush. You can make a soft transition. I'm mostly tapping. Skies get darker as they move away from the land. There's a like in the daytime, there's this effect where the sunlight bounces off the natural horizon and it's a little bit glowy and yellow and light. And then as things move up, they get darker. That's what our eye sees anyway. So if I want a little variation, you can see I can make it a little bit darker, sort of towards the top, but there's no hard edges. It's a very soft transition. There's no lines. Like there's one. So see how I'm getting rid of any, if there are any hard lines. It's a little bit more white and blue towards the bottom, more blue, less white towards the top. Woo! And if I want to, I have a second brush with my green on it. My dark green red mix, which I can use to kind of push up into the sky to continue to create this kind of random edge. So really, it's just paying attention to the edges. Sometimes it works to use your finger. Notice at this stage, remember last week we talked about the sky holes in the tree. When we're painting one tree, we're doing that. When we're painting a whole tree line in the background, we skip that part. The closest we get to sky holes is this edge, where the edge of the leaves kind of hits up against the sky and is raggedy. No sky holes in trees up to this point. Let's see here. Much better, Anna. Okay, so Annika, are you sure you're using the right yellow?
Yeah.
Okay.
I threw away the oil-based one. I'm
All right,
using.
so so here you've got this total hard edge right here. I can see it like a
Yeah,
straight.
I
You
saw that.
cover that up. You need a lot more paint. Nice job, Anna. Keep bringing. That's beautiful. So we do not see that wonderful work. We do not see that dark hard line anymore. You can bring that light all the way down on top of the dark. It'll still read differently. We should not see the transition, right? We should not see those hard lines. Excellent, you guys. Excellent work. I'm very proud to heal. It's looking fabulous. Notice none of them look the same. That's not really the point, right? I'm not trying to get you to paint like me. I'm sort of loosely trying to get you to paint like an impressionist because I think that's easier and kind of where everybody wants to go anyway. But notice that even if we're all following the same directions, working from the same source, there's still ways that Ani holds the brush. There's still ways that Anna holds the brush, that all of you hold the brush. That's like so different. And look at that lovely transition here. And we're still maintaining our transitions. Our mark making, our underpainting is still shining through. It's interesting. Use thick paint. Annika, you need to use very little water, and you really need to lay your paint on top. That's how you'll achieve what you want. So although I use the same mid-tone color across everything, you'll see there's a slight shift. Let's see this. Oh, beautiful, honey. That's gorgeous. Yum. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, and look at your little sky. You got your sky in as well. Fabulous. Fabulous. So, oh, I want it. Maybe we're ready to like, let me show you some sort of finishing marks. Now you get to pick, now this gets kind of fun. You get to pick a color for your flowers. Maybe you're gonna put in, I've got a little white on my palette. I've got some yellow. I think I want a little pink for wildflowers. So I'm gonna grab quinacridone red. This is so the funnest part. I'm gonna get a little bit of quinacridone red, which is like a pink there. Wait, oh, I see. This is shading over. Okay. So I've got pink up here. I'm gonna mix a little bit of white with it, not too much. All right. Now, for the front, where we see more detail, right? Here's the foreground, where the foreground starts. There we go. There we go. Let me push up a little bit. There. Here's where the foreground starts, where that kind of dark shifts to medium. So I'm going to start by taking just a couple threads from my brush. See how I'm holding them like this? And I'm going to scoop up a little bit of yellow on them and a bit of this green. This is the serious magic trick. Do this and no one will ever guess. And here, I'm going to lay in a few lighter grasses. Those look badass. And it's really awkward. Like it's super, you could probably do 3 strokes and then you're like, you have to load up your brush with more paint. So these are those kind of individual grasses you see as you get closer. You can do them darker too, right? But generally, I'm putting a yellow and I'm dragging it in the green. So there's got to be a lot of paint, and it really stops at about where the dark transition is. You're going to start with adding in some grasses. You could try a little white. Let's see what the white looks. I probably were going to save the white for wildflowers, but see how it's the very fact that you can't really control it that makes it, and that it's a little bit brighter than everything else, that makes it look, it's like a variety of mark making. It's so awkward, so much fun. And it stops at about where maybe you can drift up a little bit more in places. I don't even have to do that much. Isn't that crazy? So you're going to start by giving yourself, with using this technique, holding a single. Now, landscape painters who go out will use all kinds of things to create marks like this. Sometimes a stick, sometimes leaf. But this brush really works. This single strand really works. And notice you got to go in different directions. You can't be like little soldiers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going in the same way. You want to avoid that. And then, let's see here. I'm going to put a little bit of pink on the tip of my brush here. In the back, I'm going to add in, just going straight across, kind of rows of pink that break in places. There's no real flower detail. Maybe I'll also add a little bit of white. See how I'm just kind of, oh yeah, that's like super, see how the white is like super poppy right now? I might want to cover that up a little bit. Yeah. And I'm just kind of going horizontally across, doing little clusters and groups. My marks get a little bit bigger as I get to that dark line. I'm not going evenly. Well, I mean, I'm going straight across, but I'm not like, see how I'm kind of pushing up and down a little bit. And then when I get to here, I'm going to use that technique again to scoop up some pink. Maybe some white and some yellow. See, to create, see how I'm kind of wiggling around a little bit to create flower marks that are different than what I've made here. So here I've used the whole brush. Here I'm using sort of pink and white. I'm loading my brush. I'm taking crazy, right? we're not doing anything that's really hard. The hardest thing you're gonna find is just accepting that it's this easy. It's gonna be the hardest thing for you today. So you see, we shifted our mark making. Back here, it's all like full brush, more blurred. As we get to the foreground, we're using less bristles and making our grasses more distinct, adding more detail really here. Isn't that just lovely? Now you just have a good old time with that because this is where it gets fun. And don't worry, if you put too much paint down, we can go back over with green. Oh, and one more little tip, which I think is really fun. You can choose to do it if you want to. Okay, now I'm going to a littler brush. Is you can take a little bit of yellow, touch of white, maybe a little bit of blue. If you want to give your transition even more pop, you can kind of blend in this little yellow edge here. See how I'm doing that? And then I'm going to take my blue and white, kind of blend down over it. So there's this soft little, not neat, glow that comes. So you transition, you sort of, once again, this is all the same thing from plane to plane, except for here. It's soft edges, right? So see how now I have a little bit of a glow there, which looks really dynamic, but isn't really much of anything. Now sell it for, when you're done, you can sell it for $200. Or you don't have to sell it at all, but you know, have fun with it. Let's see. Natalie, you're going to have to jump into one of Lotto's classes. He's got a great one on Sunday. That's an hour before your kids' class. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, there you go, Ani. Lovely. You're on the way. You're on the way, baby. Get those grasses in. Looking great. See, are you having way more fun now?
Oh, yeah.
Like way easy. So here's the value. When Anik did this a year ago, it was not fun for her. She struggled a lot more. I don't see you struggling at all. Now you're understanding this, right? These transitions, how they work.
Exactly.
Is there anything you can put words on? Help if people who are new.
I think it's about letting go, simply.
Yes.
I mean, last year I was very much like, oh, it has to be no,
You're paying
a
attention to
flower, not a dot, a flower, and it's a kind of a little bit the concept of simply of the fact that the flowers are actually spots was a bit like
Yeah.
foreign.
flowers. Totally. That's it. That's exactly it. It's not a flower, it's a spot, a raggedy little spot. All right. I'll be right back, you guys. Fantastic. Oh, Natalie. Oh, that's beautiful. Anna, that's beautiful. Bring your green down. This is feeling a little dark to me.
You mean make it lighter at the bottom?
Your lighter green. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bring your lighter green down, right? See how there's that kind of a beautiful mark making. I love the little glow you got on the top of your, oh, so fun. That's just beautiful, you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Anna, because I really love your sky to tree line transition. It's really gorgeous.
Did you rag it up, did you break up a brush?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I took scissors to it and I've been like stamping it to try and make it as messy a border as possible. So
Watch it. You're
hopefully
gonna
it's-
love that. You're gonna love that brush more than any of the others, the ones you kind of beat up.
yeah.
And teaches you beautiful work. Beautiful, you guys. Honestly, this is just it. If you finish, do another one. Or keep just poking around and playing with yours. Isn't it kind of magical? And also get a point where you can step back from it and look at it. You'll see it reads really nicely. These things read super. Notice how these little whites really push forward because they're against all these kind of muted colors. I'll show you how it looks to. Yeah, that doesn't work so well. I tried sort of dotting with my finger. It doesn't work as well. It's too solid, right? So I'm scruffing it out with my finger now. Play around with different ways. You can make mark making. Yep, no, really it's this thing. And also remember, this is just an exercise. I'm feeling like I want to get more dark in my background. I'm looking at my trees and feeling they need a bit more dark. So I'm coming in here and my trees are, yeah.
My question is about the sort of that perspective, the idea of it just going out into the distance, and mine feels really flat, and it's kind of the foreground to the midground. And when I look at Annick, like there's this real sense of it going off into the distance. So I'm kind of asking you, but also asking Annick, like, how did you?
Let's take a look at this. I'll pop up Onyx. Let's take a look. Anik, can you hold yours up for a minute? Just hold it up. I'm going to add you as a, you can see that. Hold this up. Okay, so one of the things that she's done is kind of randomly, look at how random, she's left like dark spaces in the front, spaces where there are no flower, where there's more. So her design is very random, but, and it's kind of a little bit more fill, as you get further back, the flowers fill in a little bit more. They read more like lines, right? But see how she's got like, I'm going to point up here on mine. I'll show you, right? There's areas where those bigger ones kind of pop into the background. They actually push into the background. That's because imagine, here, I'll do it myself. Imagine if some of these flowers are raising up and kind of, right? Covering the background, sort of covering up the background because they're rising up. So you want a little bit of this front line, this what do you call it? This foreground to rise up and sort of obscure a little bit of your middle ground with some stronger. So instead of having flowers straight across, have one big one come up a little bit over here.
Like even your earlier pictures, Annie, where you didn't have a single flower, there's still a real strong sense of this dark patch, I'm right here, this is where I'm standing, and that is far, far away. Like even before you changed the sizes of the flowers, before you added any flowers.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
just-
I intentionally made this part of the further grass like as thin as possible. And then I was just dragging the mid-tone to the darkest. So there was a big contrast between what I had closer to the forest and what I had in front. Because I thought that last time when we were painting the mushroom,
You had this
with Leah,
issue.
I had this issue that that the plane between the front and the forest, let's say, it was too flat, and I then figured it out basically that I need very bright and very dark, and some mid-tones that I'm dragging from the bright to the dark. I don't know if I can make myself more clear than that.
Natalie, I'm gonna point out a couple of areas where you could shift your focus. Because that's what you're really asking. Right. So over here, let's see. All right. So if you brought up I'm going to sort of show you spaces where you can bring up like a few bigger flowers. And also lighten your grass back here. Oh, shit. That's not. Okay. So where you see the purple, Natalie, I'm going to show you. So where you see the
your other
purple,
camera is like your.
no, I'm marking it right on you're going to see. I'm going to mark it right on I'm going to mark it right here on your photo. So I'm sending it across WhatsApp right now. So you're going to see where sorry, I know this is like kind of dizzying. Where your purple is, where the purple marks are, that should be a little bit lighter. Kind of goes down like this. And then where the green circles are, where you should bring up some larger flowers. Got it? So you want to, but you're still obscuring, right? So you're still kind of softening the dark to light. It's really this is kind of the lighter area, and down here is the darker area. And you can kind of see it happening, but it's more subtle. That's basically what that shape is. That's what she's talking about. Oh my word. Look at it over there. All right, I'm going to turn this off. I got to take a picture of this for you guys. It's absurd. Look at what is happening outside my studio right now. And this is what's happening outside my studio right now. It is so, just to give you a contrast from this sunny field we're painting.
It looks lovely.
Here, I'm gonna remove the spotlight. I'm going to remove the spotlight for a minute. Diana, I'm happy to see you still upright. I was afraid you'd passed out, fallen down on the bed, and we lost you. Oh, illness. What an inconvenience. Sandra's waving at you, Diana.
Sorry, yes, I wanted to say hello to Diana, and I was saying goodbye as well. Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute.
Thank you for popping in today. It's good to
Yeah,
see
it's
you.
very nice seeing you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Likewise. Bye. So Leah, you have your personal Narnia outside.
I have my personal Narnia outside. It's ridiculous.
Looks
I
like.
also left Bazoo I locked him into the studio last night, which he just hated. But I was like,
And then-
"It's dumb to like, I mean, maybe he'd survive, but maybe he just wouldn't. Maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he would go out there and fucking freeze to death because he's kind of a dum dum.
Hopefully not.
No, yes, hopefully not. So I locked him in and then let him out in the morning, and he's been bouncing in and out all day, all mornings.
Well, that's this white thing that it's interesting. Yeah.
Right? And
Just it's getting wet then.
and this is the feral cat, which I'm slowly adopting. So he is used to being outdoors. He's always outdoors. He doesn't actually come into our apartment at all, but he hangs out in my studio a lot. But usually only when I'm there. So yes, so he does not stay in there when I'm not there. So, I'm not there at night, which means he's often out all night. And then he kind of waits for me to come in at the studio early in the morning. So I feed him and pet him. Yeah. So this time I was like, yeah, it's too fucking cold, cat. You are not, no. And he complained quite heavily, but he's
Gonna get it, that it's for his own good and benefit.
Yes. He's just a silly. He's a big silly.
Yeah. I'm trying to join with sound for a little while, see if I can be a few minutes without coughing.
Are you able to rest at all, Diana? Or is it just hard because you're coughing all the time?
I'm coughing all the time. As
No,
soon
this
as I lay down.
This happened to me 3 years ago. It was at the beginning of COVID. It was terrible. It took I didn't sleep for weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Ugh.
it's awful, but
Cough suppressants are helping.
I'm sorry. That's why I turned on off
We
the
get
sound.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's annoying, really annoying.
So this is actually something Leah told me about when I was in Nairobi. This is 11 years ago. And I literally have this in my kitchen, and I have a jar of honey with garlic cloves.
That was Budapest. Do you remember? The first time was Budapest, actually.
So my 3 children who think I'm a weirdo anyway, Charlotte had because this is going around Rome as well. People are getting a cold that's not COVID, that is crushing them worse than people.
Yeah, this is not COVID, no.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You're not testing positive for COVID and you feel horrendous and it just drags and drags. And so Charlotte, my eldest, had it. And I was like, you need some tea with this delicious garlic honey. She couldn't taste it. She couldn't smell it. And I was like, that proves that you're sick. And within about 3-4 days, she was fine. I mean, she's 13, so it's different. Then I caught it, and I have asthma, and I'm the one that's like, I'm slammed, and I'm totally fine. I didn't have any asthma attack. I wasn't at work. I could work from home.
You eat it a little bit every day? Do you have it?
No, I just have this jar with the garlic cloves, and it gives that kind of garlic juice at the top, and I just mix it. And when someone's sick, I'm like, have some tea.
Have
My kids
some.
love it.
And if you can, the first time we did this with Natalie, she was really ill. And when the garlic macerates with the honey, it's even better because all the properties leak out. But we did it the same night. We chopped up a bunch of garlic, we threw it in honey, and she ate it by the spoonful. And you were better by the next day. That's what I remember. We forced.
If you're sick, you can't taste it or smell it, and that's how you know you're better, because you're like, oh, that's dang. No, I have a jar and with my there with the tea bags that is there. Just
oh, that's amazing.
So my kids don't come to me with a cold, because I'll come to you with this honey. It's delicious.
Honestly saying, that sounds like one of the most Central European things ever, because this is one of the solutions. Other solution that I remember from my childhood is honey in the milk with garlic.
Yeah.
Hot honey, hot milk with garlic. That's another version. And there is also the syrup of the onion.
Do you crush the garlic or?
Yes,
You
yes,
just
crushed one.
can, but mostly you cut it into pieces. So basically, and I actually find the taste of garlic honey kind of good. So that tells you something right there. But like, you just kind of want to cut it into small pieces so that the smaller the pieces, the more the properties of the garlic leak into the honey. Diana, it wouldn't hurt you to try it if you've got those things in the house.
I do. I'll try
You
it.
might even just a spoonful or in tea. So if you don't like the taste of it, you put it in tea.
We known as the garlic house, so.
The garnet the house, good. So this is like something that won't even bother you. The honey has properties, particularly because you probably have local honey. The honey has properties that are for gnats.
I do have local honey. I do have
Yep.
local.
Right, because it takes the local, it has the local pollen and the local things that help, that kind of present to yourself kind of homeopathically almost, right? A little bit of the thing to get your body used to it. But the garlic, I'll look it up. Tremendous healing properties. It is really.
Just so like I give people nicknames, and Leah's nickname in my phone is Wisest Witch of the West.
That's a good one.
He's literally the one that's like, take this and you will feel like magic. Like, okay.
Garlic, let's see, garlic health properties.
Garlic is like a natural antibiotic, honestly saying.
It is.
Yeah.
It's so that's something like really helpful. My kid, for instance, like the garlic that is like the sour one from the cucumbers
Yes.
that we do we do here. So basically, like it has this sour. It doesn't smell, so it's not bothering him, and he can eat it like, you know. If I give him whole cup of it, he's gonna eat it. Simply, and it also it's like probiotic in this way.
And it says, yeah, Diana, you should chop it and crush it. So scientists know that most of garlic's health benefits are caused by sulfur compounds formed when a garlic clove is chopped, crushed, or chewed. Allicin is something, and diol disulfide and suol cysteine. It contains manganese, B6, vitamin C, selenium, and fiber.
Good things.
A large 12-week study found that a daily garlic supplement reduced the number of colds by 63%.
Well, it's too late for that.
Right, but like you could reduce, it does seem to have an impact. It's known to reduce blood pressure, improve cholesterol. It's fucking crazy.
Yes.
Now they say that it has antioxidants that may prevent Alzheimer's disease and dementia.
Well, that's good.
The garlic.
Yes, so macerating it in honey is a really good way to take it, because it'll help you. It's got these sulfites anyway. Like I think it's taking it fresh is better than taking a supplement, right? So, the honey, you could also soak it in vodka or in vinegar. Those will do different things. I think honey's the most potent combination.
Then it's salad dressing. Who wants to drink salad dressing?
How are you doing?
That's a great idea.
Good idea. Oh, very nice, Anik. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
I really like it.
I like it too. It's so fun. See, so it's better. This gets better over time.
I just think I need a little bit, few strokes of the bright grass in front.
I agree.
It's a bit-
Yeah, a little bit of pops of bright in the front there.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And, painting grass, I really started to like those fun brushes. I have a small one and big one, and they're really super useful for that.
Yeah. Oh, very nice, Anna. Although you're little, okay, so I 99% really love this. I feel a little bit, you have a few bright marks in the front that are kind of right next to each other, going the same direction. And they are, I think you should make these longer, right? Here, I'm gonna, here, I'll show you exactly what I mean. Oh, Natalie, there you go. There you go. Now you're starting to get it. Yes. And I like what you've done with your trees in the background. Or maybe you haven't done anything. You've just like, worked on your front. And so now it's feeling more good. Here, let me show you. Let me see here. I'm gonna grab your WhatsApp. Oh, beautiful. So this is the area where I feel, nope. No, I want to edit that. So this area feels to me a little flat. What I've circled, I'm going to show you. So you should have a few bigger, longer strokes. It's very loose, Anna, but you'll see things look a little too thin, and you need some sort of, do you see how Natalie's got these long and short strokes in the front that are going different directions that really convey, kind of grasses of different sizes tumbling on top of each other?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I think in
the front, you want more of that. Everything looks more even in the back because it's farther away from us. Natalie, I have to tell you, one of the things I'm really loving about your piece are these little orangey, lighter flowers, and you have the pinks kind of laying on top of them in some areas, and in some areas you're letting those oranges come through. It's just stunning. It's beautiful. And I really love your edges. Yeah, these are fabulous. I think, Nats, you've really pushed it so that there is more depth by just moving things around a little bit, darkening a little bit, bringing your light down. It's beautiful. A very nice, a very elegant solution. A very elegant solution. And I know you were supposed to be somewhere. Did you just decide to blow it off?
I moved it to Saturday morning. So like after this, I'm packing because I go to Zurich tomorrow. So
Oh, for work?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna work on the train on the way up, and then enjoy Zurich, and then meet friends in Milan on Sunday, and then work on the train back on Monday.
I wish you knew Francesca. She's in Milan. You'd really like her. She's one of our students. She's working late today, traveling, maybe to Zurich. You never know. Anyway, you'll meet her at some point, and then you guys will meet up because she is really fabulous.
It's only
A business reporter for Reuters.
Hold on, but she lives in Milan. She never comes to Rome.
I mean, she probably once in a while does, but yeah, mostly she's based in Milan. You know how it is. Now you're kind of based where you're based and you do what you need to do. Let's see. Oh, Anik. Yeah. Ooh. Woo. Now it's fun, right? You're just kind of tweaking, playing, twitching, like, what do I put down here? I bring this up here. If you put something and you don't like it, you can fix it.
Exactly.
Right? So
It's magic.
what you're doing, it is like magic, right? So what happens is painting has this awkwardness as you're working the four areas, right? The farthest area, the next farthest area, the middle area, and the foreground. And there is some sort of busting up from one into the other, right? When we go from the tree to the sky, little leaves kind of push into the sky plane. When we move from the foreground to the middle ground, little grass bits and flowers kind of push into that middle ground, just to show that it's not an even thing, right? But that, like, literally we're just paying attention to edges between those four areas. That does all the work. So you don't have to paint everything. You just have to paint the areas where light meets dark, and you have to determine, is this a soft edge or a hard edge? Most of the time in nature it's soft, right? And are there dark and light transitions? Where are the dark and light transitions happening? Are they subtle or are they very dramatic, right? The dark and light, the dark transition from the foreground to the middle ground is much more subtle than the dark light transition between the trees and the sky, right? So it's still there, but it's like less. So the eye can't really observe, you know it's there. Other people will not read it that way. As one is closer and the other is farther away. It's so fascinating. And I think this flies in the face of a lot of what we want to do. We want to paint every leaf on the tree. We want to draw every grass. We want to be afraid of working where one edge meets another. I can't tell you how many people, if I were to ask them to paint this, would start their sky from the top rather than where this is, right? We're afraid to bring an edge next to another edge, but that's where we really need to go first to get our impact. And the quickest, like, transition for your, the quickest and the quickest thing to transition from sort of awkward to like, wait, I just want, that was one stroke and that was all I needed. It's so interesting.
It's just not intuitive. It's like somehow my mind it's like what you said, Annick, about control and letting go, and just like somehow the feeling of getting from the blank canvas to here, it feels like the way to get there is just the opposite of how my mind thinks I'm supposed to get there. So you're telling me stuff, Leah, and I'm like, are you sure?
Yep. Yeah, this is just the thing. This is the thing. You got to like pay attention to. It is a process. You'll learn it. It will become logical. But it's like building something. Right?
So Leah, I was doing like with the kids one night, and they all wanted to obviously watch hours and hours of YouTube Kids, and I said no. So we decided to do a drawing competition, and we had 5 rounds. So I wrote down like 5 different topics, and they all had pen and paper. And and one was my favorite food. So they would draw for like 5 minutes and then stick it up on the wall and discuss what was drawn. And Ailey, the youngest, who's now 7, but she was 6 at the time, drew the most perfect McDonald's chip packet. It was perfect. She's 6, like she's not, drawing perfect representations. And yet the one thing she can draw is a McDonald's packet.
Because she's been drawing it over and over and over again. It's just the obsession of, teenager. And that's like how
she's 7. She's 7.
She's 7.
Yeah.
But I mean,
we're all just like, that says more about us.
Damn.
Habits than
yeah, right. Oh my God.
Child services see that.
Okay, Annika, you need more flowers. Come on, we've got little spots there. More here. Hold on, I'm gonna look at this.
I'm
You need
not
more-
done.
Let's see here. Let me look. Yeah, I think you're done. You're being stingy with your flowers, Annika. You're being
No,
stingy.
I'm not done, obviously.
Okay. But I'm just saying, don't be stingy with your flowers. Also, make sure you've got lots more grasses, right? Like single grasses going up in the front. I don't really see much there. I see a few flowers floating around. I see no single grasses. I don't see them kind of against a darker background. I think you're, but I will say, having said that, yours and soften the edge between the light and the dark area of your sky. So you're struggling with soft edges right now. I want you to review every edge you've got and really soften it. There's no hard edges in this, none at all. I like your lines of flowers that you got. It's come quite a long way, actually. Excellent. I love how different these are. Let's work for another 10 minutes and then I'll show you, and then we'll hold them up and you'll see them.
I'm trying to get somewhere.
Experimental.
Remind me, Natalie, I need to get more garlic for me in my cabin, in my life. I kind of forgot about it, except for emergencies, you know. It's good to have some around.
Oh. This does not work.
Hi, Pumpkin. How you doing? You're getting so tall. You're getting
Oh
big.
yes, he is. He's the size of a 8-year-old at least. He's better now because he got a bag, unfortunately. So he's been home for a few days, but now he's way better.
Good.
Hmm?
I mean, he used to be like down below your shoulders when he stood up. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
I mean, he's 1.30 meters, and
Wow.
he's building those.
Oh,
He wanted to
look
just
at that.
just to show.
That's lovely. That's fantastic.
He's
Oh
a proper born engineer,
I want to live
Like-
there.
properly colorful and
Hold on, I'm gonna
how of all the
Hold
things.
that up for a second, sweetie. There you go. Hold it up. Show everybody your building.
Pokażesz jeszcze raz? Do góry?
It's beautiful. Wow.
Amazing. What a rock star.
A total rock star. That's fantastic.
Oh, nice.
That's his
Annie,
favorite thing.
Of Lego? You have a Lego table?
Sorry?
Oh, Diana, yep, that pink worked very well.
I can send my
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, Natalie.
I can send my kids to you, and you can have like a big Lego engineering.
A plane ride to the
You're
dance
welcome.
camp.
I mean, they can always talk in Italian. It's not a problem.
Diana, that's looking great. I think that pink, I like that blue line and the pink divide around the flowers. I think you've got a nice modernist take on that piece. You might
It's
even be,
beautiful.
Do you think I should end it there?
I think so. What I would do is sit on it. At least I would stop working on it and maybe
Okay.
show Lotto on Sunday and
Yeah.
see if he has any suggestions. But in my mind, like I feel like that all the elements are there. No, I think it's like, I think it's great.
I think
love
I think
line.
I'm gonna do this composition in reversed colors. So with
I think that's a great
like-
idea.
like a greenish blue flower and pink background where the
Here's a
green.
question. I think that's a great idea. Although here's a question. What if you flipped the flower to the direction of everything?
Yeah, I could do that.
Why don't you try that just to also keep it kind of in? Yes, I love the idea of flipping the values and the colors. But also maybe flip it so that leaf in those, that's really fantastic. You know, for a second, you're not doing bad work.
Ah,
Oh,
ay,
garlic and honey.
yeah. I have friends coming from Sweden tomorrow that need to be better.
Pound it, like spoonfuls of it. If you can stand it,
I can
spoonfuls.
stand it.
Yeah, it actually, you might like it. I kind of like the taste of it.
Yeah.
I like garlic, I like honey. Those aren't bad combinations. I know it seems weird.
No.
All right, everybody, let's hold up wherever we're at. Hold it up. That's what it is. Oh, yeah.
Miss you.
Natalie, stop your blur. Hold on, keep them up. Yeah, keep them up. Oh my
Oh, they're
God.
beautiful.
These are fabulous.
They're beautiful.
Oh, Hanukkah, very nice.
Mm.
Good job.
Yeah.
You guys, these are beautiful.
Yes, they are.
Natalie, are you joining us next week or will it be every other week?
It'll be every other.
I will register you for 2 weeks from now.
Thank you, lovely.
All right. Have a great time in Zurich. Everybody have a fabulous day. Diana, garlic and
Okay.
honey.
Yeah,
Everyone else,
I will. I will.
not
I will.
sick. We'll see you soon in all the classes. So join us anytime. Bye, guys.
Bye.
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 Oh, yeah.